Special coverage here on SABC News, focusing on both climate change and the floods in KwaZulu-Natal, one in the same as well. But indeed, today, out and about, we've got our reporters, senior reporters, also covering the story is Chriselda Lewis. She has been there doing a fantastic job in uncovering some of the devastating stories in different areas in KwaZulu-Natal. But this morning, we find her in Ntuzuma. So let's find out a little bit more from her and just get an understanding of what's going on there, because, you know, everywhere you've gone, Chriselda, it's just been absolutely devastating stories that you've been bringing us. So now where you are, I don't imagine it's a different story coming from that area.
Well, that's right, Leanne. You know, quite difficult to look at the devastation on the faces of those who've been affected by these floods. And, you know, they just really need more assistance in terms of what needs to be done next. I'm going to speak to a young man, Zamani Mjali, and I spoke to his aunt just a few moments ago, where she indicated she'd taken in his mother as well as him. I'm going to move towards this direction. I did show you before we went to Simpiwe, who is in Umkababa. This is where his home had basically been. You know, we really appreciate the fact that he was able to speak to us this morning. They really woke up when they heard that the Morning Live team was coming here today. They really took the liberty to come out and speak to us because they want those in authority to see exactly what is happening here, what their needs are, and they're hoping that there's going to be a response. Zamani, siyabonga kakhulu bhuti wami ngesikhathi sakho. Ngiyabona nje ukuthi hayi kubhlungu nje kuyo yonke lento ebese shilo uMamtshali ukuthi nihlala lapha yana kwakhe. Bekwenze njani lana? Mhlawumbe ungasichazela nje ukuthi uhambe kanjani umusi la wakini? Akusekho lutho okusele la.
Shithi ikhukhula zayiqhamuka ngapha phezulu nje bakubonakala nje ngapha. So zadlula nayo indlu and zangashiya nje lutho, ngizadlula akudlulanga nje indlu nje kuphela, but kwadlula nama siblings wami awu2 amancane na 17 nona 11 years. Samtholile na 17 but on 11 years she's still missing. Usalahlekile namanje sikakamtholi. Yeah.
Leanne, and that's exactly it. You know, we've been talking a bit about, you know, those that remain unaccounted for. His younger sister is still missing, just to translate for some of the viewers who may not understand. The 17-year-old, however, was found. We heard Mamtshali say that she's hoping that they're able to, the recovery teams are able to go towards an area which is a little bit below me to try and look in that area. These recovery teams are going to be extremely stretched over the next couple of days. Just yesterday, we were in Amanzimtoti with some of those rescue teams, and those rescue teams, you know, had been looking for a 10-year-old boy who was on the banks of one of the rivers there and just disappeared. His father tried to save him, and these are families who are telling us that they still don't know where their loved ones are. I think the guest that our colleague Bongani Kema was speaking to, who says this is now a recovery, it certainly seems to be that way at this stage. Umayena unjani but njeba umntwana akakatholakali manje nawe ngiyakubona nje ngathi ebusweni kunzima but ngiyabona ukuthi awukho right.
Kunzima kakhulukazi kuyena nje ba esesimini lesakusona ekholelo. Ya nje akubhlungu nje kakhulu, ubhlungu impela. Angazi ngachaza kanjani.
But manje yabona nje ukuthi kunzima nje but wami siyabonga kakhulu ngokuthi nivuke ekseni nize lana nizokhuluma nathi mase nizwa ukuthi Morning Live izawufika nathi nani nizawuphawula la okwenzekile la eNtuzuma edingi. Ngiyabonga kakhulu bhuti wami, ngicela uze ngapha nje. Just very quickly, Leanne, I'm just going to walk up a little bit here and speak to Umam Glora, who is one of the councillors in this area. Just going to speak to her in a moment. Mam Glora, bawungama lana mama, no kunzima ukwehla lana mangize kuwe. Mam Glora, simo sinzima la. Kusekhona abantwana abangekatholakali. Usizo olukhona for umphakathi lana noko sezinsuku manje sekudlulile abantu kufuneke baqale ukwakha izindlu zabo. Usizo
mayelana nokuthi kutholakale laba abangasekho. I-search and rescue unit ibusy iyazama baningana bangakatholakali kakhulukazi la kuthina u6 wonke ongakatholakali. So bayaqhubeka baloke bebacinga. Siyathemba ukuthi kuzogcina kwenzekile ukuthi batholakale bonke. But njengamanje okwenzekile ukuthi ke laba bamukelwe izindlu zabo because baningi sibathathile bonke sababeka ehholo lomphakathi ilabo ehleli khona ke kuze kube ukuthi ke ama programs ka government ayaqala ke aya implementeka. Kodwa njengamanje bonke sibagcine lapha ehholo. But okunye ke futhi ama families lawa alahlekelwe abese sebenzisa imizi eyihlobo for isikhathi lesi se bereavement.
Mam Glora, ngiyabona nokuthi imigaqo mhlawumbe masiqale lapha eholweni bangapha abantu abahleli khona lapho nokuthi mhlawumbe nidinga usizo olunjani ukuthi bazawudinga ukudla nokuthi bageze nezinto abazawulala phezukwazo.
Yebo. Abantu abalapha neholo bawo 185 if I'm correct. Ngoba phela isibalo kubuye kwenzeke futhi silosiqhamuka siloke sikhuphuka njengamanje ba 185 kukhona nezingane khona ngithi encane engangano 2 months kanjalo sisizwa ama NGOs ama lokhuzana Gift of the Givers sisizwa local business people kangaba sinabo da ma representatives business chamber Ntuzuma business chamber ngoba abantu nje babe lapha yana sidinga ukuthi sibanikeze breakfast sibanikeze lunch sibanikeze supper nosizo olukhulu ke ngilibonga kakhulu lama volunteer ala phakathini okuyiwona avuka ekseni aqale le ndaba zokuthi kuyaphekwa kanjalo. Yeah.
Mam Glora. Mam Glora, one of the councillors in this area. You can see community members, some of business have also come here today, to try and assist. 185 people, Leanne, as well as you, Sakina, at just one community hall. Now, remember, we're still dealing with the pandemic. We're not yet completely out of, the pandemic, COVID-19, having to traverse all of that, but firsthand trying to get assistance for these communities that have been affected is really going to be a challenge. But what is really commendable and what I've really seen, Leanne, is that these communities have come together. They are providing rooms in their homes, garages, with the cost of living that is so high. They've lit their paraffin heaters to provide that warmth for those who've been the most affected. But, the devastation is palpable. Every single place that we have gone to has been exceedingly difficult to report from. But we really do appreciate communities like this. And this has been the sentiment. We've really felt that sense of the people of eThekwini calling us and saying, come through. We want you to see. That is what we have experienced in these areas. And I'm going to go in our next live crossing. I want to go to that community hall, Leanne, and just show you exactly what is taking place there. The volunteers who have come through to also try and assist in those particular areas. But again, so many people unaccounted for at this stage. And, as the clock ticks, certainly concerns about when they will be found.